Miss Transformers 96 here with another video review. This time we have the Star Wars from the Elite Series Disney Store exclusive First Order Stormtrooper. So let's go over the package first here. As you can see, like I said, I really do like this packaging design. I think it's really quite cool. I've actually started buying duplicates of some of these figures to keep mint because I really like the package. It's nice. It's got a lot of open windows here so you can really see the figure from all different angles. And I love the red that outlines the boxes in a really nice metallic, very shiny red. And it's, you know, not a big goofy sticker that says Diecast. It's a nice, it almost looks like it's just printed right onto the plastic. I'm not sure though, but it's a nice, you know, little sticker there. And then the Disney Store exclusive logo is quite calm. It's not, you know, massive like a Toys R Us exclusive logo would kind of be. So overall, I am quite a fan of this box design. I think it's pretty neat. On the back here, we have a description of the Elite Series line and a description of the First Order Stormtrooper. So yeah. So let's go over the figure here. This was one that I was never like super looking forward to. This is one that I did plan on not getting actually, but just recently, a month after 4th Friday, October 4th, all the Disney stores restocked on their Elite Series figures. By the time I found out about it, I went in to hopefully find Rey or another Captain Phasma, and unfortunately they were sold out of them. However, they did have Kylo Ren, which I already had, and then they had one more Stormtrooper, so I did purchase their last Stormtrooper just because I was kind of in the mood to get a Elite Series figure basically, but overall it turns out to be a really wonderful figure. So yeah, so going over this actual figure, as you can see, it's quite nice. It's obviously done in the modern design of the Stormtrooper. If you want an Elite Series Stormtrooper, but you want it from the old trilogy design, they are going to do that. I believe it's in November that figure gets released, but they will be doing an original trilogy Stormtrooper from the Elite Series as well. So overall, obviously, if you don't know, the Elite Series is a Diecast toy line that's a Disney Store exclusive. And going over this actual sculpt here, it's quite plain, of course, but that's just because it's an armor. You know, it's just a regular armor. There's no face sculpt or anything to talk about, but overall this armor is designed really nicely. I'll compare it very soon here to the Black Series one so you can really see the comparison between the two. But overall it's done really nice. It's a nice kind of almost like a pearl white there that's very shiny and metallic. On the hands it's a bit more of a flat white, which I like. It's a little bit different. Unfortunately on the belt it's done in a this front section of the belt is done in a slightly paler white as compared to the shiny white of the armor, which is nice that there's a difference between the two whites. However, it does, you know, kind of look like this didn't get painted very well, even though it's really supposed to be like that. So overall, I don't know quite how I feel about this belt, especially since like the first pouch, and I guess this pouch as well, is done in a non-shiny like the armor. So overall, it looks, you know, decent, but it does not look too fantastic. The belt itself, the way it's painted, does have a few little marks there. As you can see on the corners of some of those squares do have a few black marks. Nothing too bad and nothing really to complain about. It's just it is noticeable, and I wasn't able to unfortunately pick through my Stormtroopers to make sure I got the best one because, like I said, I got the last one that was there. Then there's one more small one. I'm trying to get the light focus. You can see there's a little white kind of dot at the bridge of the eyes there, which is definitely disappointing. It's just right there if you didn't see it. So overall, it annoys me. It's a very small little mark, but it does actually annoy me. It looks strange, and I do notice it, so that's unfortunate. However, I believe that these are just minor, and they are very minor flaws just on mine, and I doubt that you'll have the majority of the Stormtroopers having these. There's one other one here. This blacks or speck or just a slight paint chip. Overall, it's all very minute flaws that you really wouldn't notice too much, but just thought that it was definitely worth mentioning. Of course, he does have the screws on the back. You know, this is something that I just forget to talk about in my reviews because they don't bother me, to be quite honest, so I forget to mention them in my reviews. However, I do definitely need to mention them. This Elite Series line does have screws in their back, and they are noticeable screws. They are not covered up, which is unfortunate, and a lot of people are quite disappointed with this. However, like I said, it doesn't really bother me too much, just because I'm never going to have my figures displayed from the back. I don't even look at my figures from the back, you know, so it's not a huge deal to me. It is definitely something to be noticed, though. It would have been nice if they could have covered this up. I'm not quite sure if it being die-cast made it harder to cover up. I'm not quite sure, you know, what the reason is for these screws. However, they are there, but they're not too bad for me, and, you know, a lot of the figures having them covered, like Captain Phasma, her cape, you know, covers hers, you know, Darth Maul, or any figure that has some like cloth on like the the waist section has theirs on their legs covered up. Kylo Ren is like completely covered up. Even the Flame Trooper has his big tanks on his back, so those are covered up. So a lot of them have things on their back that do tend to actually hide the screws. However, this is one that does not have anything on their back, so their screws are front and center. Like I said, though, not a big issue for me. I really, it doesn't bother me that much because I'm never going to display my figures from the back, and I don't really look at them from the back ever as well. So it's just, you know, something that if you're picky about that stuff, it will annoy you, but if not, you shouldn't have any problem with it. His accessories, he does come with a pistol, which looks quite nice, as you can see. Let's get it focused. There we go. It's quite nice, you know, it's white, black, and does have a little bit of red highlighting up at the top there. Overall, quite good. You know, I actually haven't tried this. Oh, it does look like it. Cool. And it doesn't just go on with the peg, which is nice. It looks like there's a more stable method of it staying on. I've never actually tried this, though, so let me give it a shot here. It looks like you just pull it down, you know. Actually, just give me 1 second. Let me try to do this, and I'll be right back. Alright, so from what I can tell, it should be able to slide in a bit more, but it's kind of hard. I'm not quite sure why. You know, maybe if I take some more time and use a knife just to carve out some space in the socket that's on the gun, I might be able to slide it in more, but you can slide it in a bit and it does stay in perfectly, and it looks good too. Definitely, you know, I was thinking about that earlier, but I just completely forgot to even try it. Overall, it looks nice, and it, you know, goes on his leg pretty flush there as well, which is cool. And it won't really pop out as easily because, you know, with the Black Series one, they have it where it's just pegged onto the side here, while this one actually slides on. I think that this sliding on mechanism is much better because it won't pop off when you're just holding them. So I am quite happy with that. He does come with a standard blaster that really all Stormtroopers use. Looking very cool here. It's well painted, of course, with black, white, and silver highlights. You can fit it in either hand. Let's just get it in one of the hands here. Alright, as you can see, he holds it well too. You can probably get, yeah, you can kind of get the finger in the trigger hole, or at least close to the trigger hole. And overall, it does look quite nice. Of course, with these Elite Series figures, they do not have swivels at the elbows or biceps, and therefore he can't hold it with both hands. You can hold it with one hand, you know. Obviously, you can kind of have it holding it up a bit like this, or you can have it pointed like he's shooting it, but overall, unfortunately, he cannot hold it with two hands, and with, you know, Stormtrooper, he really does need to hold it with two hands. So overall, I just don't display him with a weapon. I think he just looks nice, just kind of arms to the side, especially since they are done with trigger fingers and everything, but they're done in a way where it looks like relaxed palms as well, so I don't think he looks bad just with his arms to his side like that. I think it looks pretty good. Going over how much diecast this guy has, it's obviously, I really can't express it to you just by this review here over the camera, but he is just a solid diecast piece. It's the thing that I love about this series is that they're very solid diecast. And one thing that I particularly like with this character is that he doesn't have the, you know, cape that Captain Phasma has, or the massive gun that the Flame Trooper has, or the cloth, or, you know, the rubber that's supposed to be the cloth of Darth Maul and Rey and Kylo Ren, or anything like that. He is just a solid diecast piece. He doesn't have any non-diecast on him or hanging off of him. I believe that the head, probably the hands, possibly even the feet are probably not diecast, but for the most part, he's just a chunk of diecast. You know, if you throw this at a glass cabinet, it's going to shatter for sure. So I really love that. He just feels like a hunk of metal. So it is very cool, and it's the one reason that I really like this figure. Now, a lot of people have been complaining about this line in general because they have trouble standing, and especially with this figure himself. A lot of people are complaining about this one because his feet, unfortunately, are a bit small. It's something that I wouldn't have noticed just, you know, if I had just had this figure, but before I got him, I did read a review where somebody did mention that his feet were too small, and actually, you know, after he mentioned it, you can definitely see that the feet are a bit small. I don't think it's anything crazy, though, and something that's really not noticeable unless you're looking for it, so I don't think it's a big issue, but a lot of people are saying that he doesn't stand up. He doesn't even stand up on a base. No issues for me, and that goes for this entire series. I know a lot of people complain that these guys can't stand up. However, I display all, and I have most of the Elite Series figures, but I display them all standing up without a base, and they're all fine. So I haven't had personal issues. I think a lot of it has to do with people just not being careful. Obviously, when you get them in a standing position, if you're worried, why don't you test it out? See, if they are sturdy, don't just, put them in a position, put them on the table and leave. Just make sure that it's a sturdy position, and then you'll be fine. There shouldn't be any issues there. So a lot of people are complaining about that, and needlessly complaining about that, in my opinion. He does come with the base, though, if you are worried. The base is pretty plain. I would really like some nice chrome highlighting on the Star Wars logo, or a nameplate with Stormtrooper on it or something, to kind of let you know that this is a diecast figure. Otherwise, this is a pretty standard and plain base. One peg with one hole on his right foot. So yeah. So now let's do some comparisons here. Alright, so here's a comparison with the Elite Series Stormtrooper, which is the one in the middle, compared to the Black Series Stormtrooper on the left, and then on the right, the Elite Series Captain Phasma. So as you can see, just comparing the two Stormtroopers together, they're in different scales. One is in a 6-inch scale, while the other is in a 7-inch scale, and they're pretty neat. Obviously, you can see there are some differences just with the paint in general. The paint of the Black Series one is it's just as shiny, but it's a more dullish white, while the Elite Series one does have a cream white that is also shiny. So overall, I don't think either of them is bad. I prefer the Elite Series one better. It has a more pure white to it rather than the very soft white of the other one. However, they both look good. They're both shiny and glossy too, so they both look great. Comparing the Elite Series one to Captain Phasma, as you can see, there's a big height difference. Captain Phasma is played by a woman who's 6'3" in real life, I believe. So overall, I think this is a good size difference. He is much shorter, but I think that it's pretty realistic as far as in the movie. I'm not 100% sure, but it does seem to be a good scale. And if you are curious, the Elite Stormtrooper is the same height, just about the exact same height as the Flame Trooper. So yeah, from the Elite series. Alright, so let's go over the articulation. Articulation for him is the standard of Elite Series articulation. There's really nothing different from him compared to the others, other than Darth Maul. Darth Maul has a slightly better ankle articulation. But otherwise, he's got a ball jointed head, which is really nice. You can get a nice tilt on it either side, so he can look to the side and still have his head level, which is very nice. I do like that a lot. He can look up, fair amount, and he can look down slightly. Mainly when you look down, he's just kind of eye level. He's got a ball hinge shoulders with hinge elbows. The hinge is quite nice because it can move a full 90 degrees. That's something that is better than the Black Series. The Black Series, the hinge doesn't move very far, which makes it very unfortunate. As you can see here, this is about as tight of a bend as you're going to get on the elbow on the Black Series, so you do have a better bend on this figure. The only unfortunate thing is, like I mentioned, he doesn't have a swivel at the elbow or bicep, so he can't hold his gun with two hands. However, if he did have that swivel, he'd be able to hold the weapon even better than this guy could, because he does have a stronger hinge at the elbow. So it is really unfortunate, because that could have been a great opportunity. He would look fantastic. He's got a swivel waist, ball jointed hips, which are really nice. They're not really hindered too much by the pouches. They can go out pretty far, and then they can go up a pretty decent amount. Nothing great because of the hinges, but are the pouches. However, it is a pretty decent amount. Bend at the knee, one hinge, and it does hinge just about 90 degrees as well, so that's a good hinge. And then hinge swivel ankles. So overall, the Elite Series is not as good articulation-wise as the Black Series. However, they're great articulation. There's nothing wrong with their articulation. It's just that there is an alternative series that does do the articulation even more so. However, their articulation is great. So overall, the Stormtrooper from the Elite Series is really nice. Now, if you do collect the Black Series, and you have the Stormtroopers from that, and you're just kind of wanting to start getting into the Elite Series figures, I probably wouldn't recommend this as the first one to get, just because, the Black Series ones are really nice representations. There's nothing wrong with them. So, I would recommend going with somebody who's a more unique character from the Elite Series, like Captain Phasma or the Flame Trooper, considering there, at least in the first wave, there isn't those for the Black Series. So, I'd recommend getting a character character that you don't already have. However, if you do, this is a really solid piece, and it is a nice representation of what the Elite series is all about. He's a really nice figure, solid diecast piece, which is what I consider to be the best part of him, that he's a solid diecast figure, like basically no plastic on him for the most part. So overall, really do like this figure and would highly recommend it, and I really enjoy the Elite series as a toy series in general too, so I would highly recommend the series as a whole, and not just the individual figure. But this is a great individual figure, and I would highly recommend it. So there you go, that's my video review of the Star Wars Disney Store exclusive Elite Series 4th Order Stormtrooper. Thanks so much for watching.